Hey everybody, here's your tutorial on rational or fractional exponents. So essentially what you have here is you just have two operations, right? So if you have a fractional exponent, the top one here is telling you that that's your exponent. So it's 6 to the exponent 3. And your bottom number here is telling you what the root number is. So remember that on your calculator, right, you can have the second, third, fourth root. So if you want to find the second or third or fourth root, let's do a quick zoom in. You're looking for a button that looks like this, an X with a root symbol. Okay, so you can type in fourth root, fifth root, sixth root, as long as you use that button right there. So the first one here, it asks us to solve. So essentially it's saying 6 to the exponent 3. And then when you're done, take the second root of that. It doesn't matter which one you do first. If you do 6 to the exponent 3 and then do the square root, or you do the vice versa, it'll give you the same answer. So 6 to the exponent 3 is 216. Then take the square root of that, and you get, in this case, you get a decimal number, but that's fine. So you get 14.7. Right? And then if I do it the other way, right, if I did the square root of 6 and then put it to the exponent 3, see, you get the same answer. It doesn't matter. So that's how you solve them. Now, some of the questions, it asks you to have a deeper understanding of what it actually means. So it asks you to go from one form to the other. Right? So this one, they ask you to write it in radical form. They don't ask you what the answer is. They say, okay, write it out how it should look like this. This would be radical form. This is an exact answer. That's radical form. Okay? So this question I picked, first off, deal with the negative exponent. So your base term here is going to have to be inverted. So it now becomes 1 over 2 to the exponent 1/6. Right? So your negative's gone. That got flipped, and you still have that 1/6. So that means everything here gets an exponent of 1, and then it also has the 6th root. So you can take the 6th root of 1/2. Again, they just ask for radical form. They don't ask you to solve, so just leave it like that. That's fine. There is a couple other ways you can write that notation. You can put it as 0.5 if you want, but again, try to keep it as a fraction. That's pretty good. Now over here, number 13, same thing. You have a negative, deal with it first. So you have to invert to get rid of the negative. So those go to the bottom, this goes to the top. And the reason why both of them go to the bottom is because it's in brackets. It's saying that 5x has a negative exponent, so it's got to be inverted, the 5 and the x. So it becomes 1 over 5x to the exponent 5 over 4. Okay, so that means now the 5 and the x are going to have an exponent 5. And then that is also going to have a root number of 4. You could do it to the 1 if you want, but if you put 1 to the exponent 5, you still get 1. Take the 4th root of 1, you get 1. So anytime you see a 1, you can just leave it as 1. So the final way this should look is this should all be to the exponent 5. And then take the 4th root. Right? That's all you have to do, and you have to write it in radical form. You don't have to solve it, especially you can't solve if it has a variable like x. And the last one here is you have to write an exponential form. And this is basically going backwards. How do you go from here back up to that form? Right? So you understand that that is the exponent, that is the root number, and that's your base term. So you're going to have 5. Well, that's your exponent. It goes on the top. And that's your root number, so it goes on the bottom. There you go. If it was somehow inverted, if it was like 1 over the 4th root of, I don't know, 6y, and then all of that was squared, it still means the same thing. If you wanted, though, you could put the negative back in, saying, well, how do I get the 6y back to the top? Well, if you were to invert them, that means have a negative. That's your exponent. That's your root number. To invert it, you put the negative back in, and it becomes this. 6y to the exponent negative 2 or 4. Okay, again, reach out to Ms. McClure if you have any questions.